This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Cory Matthews was always my least favorite character in Girl Meets World. I thought he was self-righteous, incredibly selfish, and just all around a really bad person. Which was a really startling discovery when I watched Girl Meets World for the first time. I had never seen Boy Meets World. It was always just one of those shows that I had a peripheral understanding of, but it never held as much public cachet as other 90s sitcom like Friends, so it never really felt like there was any point in checking it out. But a while ago, I watched Girl Meets World for the first time and made a video about how much I hated that show, so recently I decided to watch Boy Meets World for the first time, and oh my god. It's definitely a better show, but I was also expecting Cory to be likable. Don't get me wrong, in the first couple of seasons, he's harmless enough, especially because the younger he is, the more excusable his missteps are. But as the show goes on and he gets older, he just becomes such an insufferable person. It makes me wonder why anyone would like him at all, and it only gets worse in Girl Meets World. So in today's video, I'm gonna rant a little about why I think Cory Matthews is a terrible, terrible person. You know, as much as I hate Cory Matthews, you know the one thing that I don't hate? That's right, Squarespace. Squarespace is a platform that helps you to design and create websites to help promote and scale your business or brand. Squarespace also makes it very easy for you to find and secure the best domain name for your website, and every domain comes with advanced privacy and security tools. They also have great SEO tools that help your website get discovered faster in search engines. Squarespace is so good and helpful that not even Cory Matthews could find a way to ruin it. So go to squarespace.com/Tron for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, use offer code TRON to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Cory is a terrible boyfriend/husband. Cory's relationship with Topanga has been a central point of the show. It has been meant to inspire and draw people into the series. For the most part, Boy Meets World is about Cory and Topanga's relationship. So in order to introduce tension and stakes into the series, what better way to go about doing that than breaking up America's favorite couple? The only problem is that in order to come up with a justifiable reason why these destined soulmates would ever break up with each other, the show had to introduce a cheating scandal and make Cory the most selfish and insufferable character ever. In order for this to work, Cory has to be the absolute worst version of himself to justify hurting the love of his life. His worst qualities come to the forefront and are seemingly amplified, and we see the worst of who he is in the situation. So let's start off at the beginning. Something that I always thought was really interesting is that the show loves to retcon and portray the idea that Topanga and Cory have always been together. They're destined to be together, they are each other's ultimate loves, and nothing could ever break them apart. That rhetoric feels like it became more essential to the ethos of the show as time went on, because Cory and Topanga were not always together. They were barely even friends in the first season, and Cory mostly thought Topanga was weird. But to play into the soulmate fantasy, they have to basically retcon their relationship and push the narrative that Cory and Topanga were basically a couple since they were like 2 years old. So them breaking up is treated like this huge reckoning in the context of the show. After Cory and Topanga go to a ski lodge together, Cory meets a new girl who works there, Lauren. Because he's injured, he can't go skiing and he spends the rest of the night talking to her.
You can still see the picture if you use a little imagination.
Yeah, there's a curly-haired kid falling off a bus.
And a cute mountain girl coming to his rescue.
Now, this to me is absolutely crazy. Not the fact that he spent the whole night talking to her, but the fact that the show had put the Cory-Topanga relationship on such high of a pedestal that you would imagine that it would take more than an overnight conversation with a stranger to threaten it.
I like you, Cory.
Yeah, I like you too.
But we can't do anything about that, can we?
No.
But apparently, that was all it took for Cory. Because from that experience alone, he started to develop strong feelings for this stranger he never knew 48 hours ago.
How's your ankle feeling?
It's confused. I mean, it's bothering me and it's not bothering me. I don't know what I should do.
If it's bothering you at all, then you should stay off of it.
Yeah, it's bothering me.
So strong, in fact, that it leads him to straight up lie to his girlfriend in order to sneak away just so he can spend more time talking to this stranger. Cory has always shown very selfish tendencies throughout the show, but the way he blatantly prioritizes his own needs above everyone else is so crazy to witness.
Does Topanga know you're here?
No, I told her my ankle is still sore.
So you lied to your girlfriend because last night didn't mean anything.
I lied to my girlfriend because I don't want to hurt her. And I don't know what last night meant.
So Cory lies to Topanga and hangs out with a girl he already knows he's developing feelings for, and then she kisses him and he doesn't stop her. So now on top of everything, he's also cheating on Topanga. And as much as nothing is wrong with liking someone else, Cory created the situation where he could have the opportunity to cheat on Topanga. And then when he finally decides to be honest with her about everything else, he still decides to lie about the fact that he kissed Lauren.
Hey, for you to talk to an interesting person. But it's not okay that you lied to me.
I know. I shouldn't lie to someone I love more than anything.
I love you too. Anything else happen between you?
What?
Did anything else happen between you?
No. Nothing.
I think there is a world where you could look past someone cheating, but what makes the whole situation so much worse is that Cory refuses to take any responsibility for the role he played. He'd go as far as saying he didn't do anything wrong and that Topanga was being unreasonably upset with him.
I didn't even do anything, okay? I meet one other girl, I talk to her, and I get a little thank you note.
Cory, she wrote you the most passionate love letter I've ever read that didn't start with Dear Sean.
I can't control what another person puts in a letter, Sean. Now, Topanga knows that.
Something else that's really frustrating about the whole situation is the surprising lack of grace that Cory has. He's very upset that Topanga isn't just immediately forgiving him.
Wait a minute, you're doubting your whole relationship over one missed date? Come on, that's nothing. Listen, when you're in a relationship, you don't doubt first. You trust first.
Interesting you say that considering your current situation.
Well, my current situation is only my current situation.
He spends an entire episode talking about how it was just a simple mistake and that if she really loved him, then she would be able to forgive him and move past it and pretend like it never happened.
We all make mistakes, okay? But that's all right, because love doesn't require you to be perfect. But it does require you to forgive.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Okay, I'm so sorry about this whole thing. Let's just pretend it never happened.
I wish it never happened too.
Good. Then let's go to Chubby's, okay? We'll pretend it's our first date again. We'll start all over.
Cory, I don't want to have to start all over. But I'm just so disappointed in you.
There's no accountability on his part. There's no attempt at repairing the harm that he's caused. It's simply Topanga should have forgiven him by now, even though he put so much effort into even keeping the fact that he cheated a secret from her.
When were you planning on telling me about Lauren's letter?
Now. I was gonna tell you about it now.
He's so incapable of stepping outside of himself for even a minute to see how his actions hurt someone who he really cared about. And again, this is all happening under the backdrop of us supposed to be believing that these people are destined to be together and are the perfect couple.
It's been raining for 7 days. How do you explain that?
Warm air meets a low pressure system?
Wrong. It's raining because God is crying. And he's crying because he created you and Topanga to be the role model of the perfect couple for the entire universe.
The show wants us to believe that there's nobody else in the world for Cory, yet this random girl that he barely knows is enough to completely disrupt that. He's willing to pursue his relationship with Lauren and compare it to, if we're expected to believe that they've been together their whole lives, his 15-year relationship with Topanga. And somehow, to Cory, he likes them both equally?
Topanga makes me laugh. But, you know, Lauren makes me laugh too.
All right. Which girl would you rather have deep conversations with?
Well, I mean, I can talk to Topanga about anything. But I like talking to Lauren also.
It's just so frustratingly absurd. The fact that he felt he even needed to test his relationship with Topanga this way after she uprooted her life, left her parents behind when they moved away just so she could be with him. Truly the worst person ever. He does eventually come to his senses and realizes this stranger obviously doesn't have as much of a meaningful connection with him as his long-term girlfriend, but by that point, it's a little too late. And of course, Cory handles Topanga's rejection with the maturity and grace you'd expect him to.
No! You told me to see her, Topanga. You told me to see how I felt.
This man is the absolute worst. He has this really disturbing entitlement to Topanga where he demands so much of her. She has to be so accommodating to his feelings and desires, but he rarely ever offers her the same grace. Topanga decides that she needs time away from him, which is an understandable request when you find out that your boyfriend both lied and cheated on you, but Cory in a way refuses to accept the breakup.
What are you doing in my seat? Well, the wife and I aren't together anymore, and I figured it would be safer if I had a buffer.
He romanticizes his own hurt feelings and treats it as if it's something that Topanga is doing to him rather than it being a direct result of his own selfish actions.
Supposed to go to the museum today?
Oh, God.
No, Topanga was real excited about this new Van Gogh exhibit that was coming to town. She went without me, didn't she?
Angela went with her.
Well, I was supposed to go with her. Did you know that I camped out overnight at the Philadelphia Museum of Art to beat the mad rush for tickets? And in the morning, I was the first guy online. Cory.
The show also does a terrible job of handling the breakup. Because Cory is the protagonist, they have to in some way infer that his indiscretion wasn't that big of a deal, and that Topanga is blowing it out of proportion.
Feeney, you're wrong about this.
You were wrong to break up with Cory.
What does that have to do with anything?
Did any of this happen when you two were together?
No.
You've killed us. You've killed us all.
They do the lame reverse thing of putting Topanga in Cory's shoes, where she encounters a guy, spends all night talking to him, and realizes she likes him and they kiss.
How could he talk to another girl all night? How could he kiss her?
He told you it didn't mean anything.
How could it not mean anything? He kissed another girl. You don't kiss somebody and have it not mean anything. Oh my gosh, we talked all day.
Oh, it's not enough.
What?
What are you doing for dinner tomorrow night?
The only problem here is that at that point, she's single, and she never betrayed or lied to Cory. They try to present this as Topanga being able to experience what Cory did, so she could better understand why he would cheat. But it doesn't work the same way, because Cory lied. Topanga never lied or deceived Cory. Cory refuses to accept that Topanga and him are broken up, and it's presented in this way of Cory just being so sure of his love.
This is just a painting.
This is a masterpiece.
We're a masterpiece. And I don't care what you think right now. We're gonna be together forever. And I know that. But you still need to find that out. You know where I'll be.
But when you remember that the reason they broke up is because he cheated, it starts to fall a little flat. Instead, it just feels like this really deranged, egotistical person not respecting the boundaries and decisions of the person he hurt. Anyways, in the end, they reward his bad behavior and he gets back with Topanga. So something that's also never really addressed is the way that Cory continuously pressures Topanga for sex.
Is I could never share any of my personal items with someone who won't even show me her tushy. No tushy, no brushy.
And it's like, you know, it's a show in the 90s, so you'd expect that kind of humor. The first time it's like, okay, haha, he's a teenage boy, he's a slave to his sexual desires, and he wants to have sex with his girlfriend. But Topanga isn't ready to have sex. But it gets to a point where it starts to become really uncomfortable, where it's like he starts accusing Topanga of basically torturing him or mistreating him because she refused to have sex with him. And it's also strongly implied throughout the show that one of his main motivators from marrying her is so that she would finally acquiesce to his desires of having sex with her.
I'm beginning to think this wedding is just a prelude to sex for you.
That's brilliant, Sherlock.
Oh, so you're just marrying me so we can consummate our relationship?
Me and 900 million other guys.
Wait, I'm beginning to think you'd be fine if we just spent our honeymoon in any old hotel.
Or in the road.
I also really don't like the way that Topanga is constantly portrayed of having to compromise or prioritize her romantic relationship with Cory above her own personal development. She's always being put in these positions where she's having to choose between her life and her love for Cory, and she always chooses Cory. Her parents decide to move away to Michigan. She decides to stay just to continue her relationship with Cory. She gets accepted into Yale but turns it down so she could go to the same college with Cory and marry him. Hell, in the series finale, she gets an opportunity to move to New York, and she has to choose between taking it or staying with Cory. Cory initially discourages her from taking it, but they do eventually decide to move to New York. In the Girl Meets World finale, another opportunity comes along where she has the opportunity to move away with her family, decides not to do it for the sake of the family. I just really don't like that. She's constantly put in this position where she has to prioritize her love for Cory over everything else, and her choosing Cory is always seen as this really aspirational thing. It's portrayed as the right decision, and Cory is never really put in this position where he has to make those same kinds of decisions. He's not really asked to choose Topanga over everything else. He never has to sacrifice anything for his relationship with Topanga, and it's really weird. And in the few instances where he's presented with an opportunity to prioritize his relationship with Topanga, he chooses the other thing. Like, he chooses to lie to Topanga just so he could have more conversations with Lauren. He always demands and expects so much of her, but very rarely feels he owes her the same obligation. Cory is a terrible friend. Cory's relationship with Sean was always treated as really beneficial for Sean. You know, it's kind of presented in this way where Cory is such a good person that he rubs off on Sean and makes him a better person just by association. Because Sean comes from a broken home and his father was an alcoholic and his mom was neglectful, he doesn't know right from wrong and is a deeply damaged person. And Cory, the saint, who comes from a stable home with two parents, has to teach Sean how to be a good person. But in that dynamic, Cory often prioritizes his own feelings and what he thinks is best for Sean. There's multiple times throughout the show where he straight up tells Sean that he's making a wrong decision because he knows best and knows what Sean needs. Even though it's very clear that Cory only cares about the idea in his head of what he envisions his life to be and what role Sean serves in that fantasy.
I'm on the wait list, so if they don't get filled up with all the people that they've already accepted, I get in.
But the plan was for all of us to go to school together.
What's the big deal? We're always gonna be friends.
No. Everyone says that. And then they graduate from high school and they never see each other again.
Could that happen?
I'm getting you into Pembroke.
So when Sean starts working as a photographer, he really likes the experience. And there's a point there where he considers not going to college and working full-time as a photographer.
Jonathan's already got me developing my own pictures, you know? Doing good.
No, Sean, this is just a hobby, okay? You can take these kind of courses in college.
I might not get in. You want me to be smart? I'm smart to consider other options.
What other options?
Cool.
What?
My picture, it's finished and it's good. What do you think?
I think you haven't listened to a thing I've said, Sean.
And Cory was not having it. He goes out of his way and does anything he could to make sure that Sean gets into the same college as he does, because Cory really wanted him and all his friends to go to the same college after graduation, which is perfectly fine and innocent enough. It's reasonable to not want your friendships to end, and truth be told, if you and your friends go to different schools, it doesn't really matter how close you are, it's very easy for that friendship to falter. So he really wants all of his friends to go to the same school because he's a maniacal puppet master who has to have total control over the lives of the people around him. But everybody gets accepted to go to the university except Sean because his grades just aren't good enough. Sean instead has been waitlisted, and Cory decides that he's going to convince other students who have been accepted to reject their acceptance so that Sean can move off the waitlist and be accepted.
Bud, did you think about what we talked about?
Oh, think about it, man. I am doing it. I am turning down Pembroke and going to Tahiti for 6 years.
Barry Pembroke gave you a full scholarship.
Yeah, when I told my dad, he took a swing at me.
Cory, I know you want us all to be together, but if it's meant to happen, it will.
Oh, it's meant to happen, Topanga. And if it's not meant to happen, I'll make it meant to happen.
Which is just so batshit crazy. But Sean is seriously considering becoming a full-time photographer. He's really passionate about it. He enjoys the work. And so now he's considering maybe he would just work as a photographer instead of going to university. And Cory is really not having it. But the thing is, like, Cory isn't making this decision informed from a place of really caring about Sean and wanting him to have an education, it's about him. It's about him fulfilling this idea that he has in his head about all his friends going to the same university. So it's not really out of a concern for Sean's higher education. It's just that he wants to have Sean in his life, and he wants to continue to have the friendship that he has with him at the expense of his needs or ambitions. And so he's willing to sabotage other people's lives. He's willing to push things away in order to get Sean to fulfill the fantasy that he has in his head, even if that means also sabotaging his girlfriend. Because another interesting thing in this episode is that Topanga got waitlisted to Yale, and he's so wrapped up in his own selfish agenda to get Sean into the same university that he completely ignores the huge success that his girlfriend has about potentially going to Yale. He's not even listening to her. He completely ignores her and dismisses the accomplishment.
Gee, I really thought I'd get in. Cory, I feel awful.
You feel awful? About what?
Not getting into Yale?
Yale? Sean could never get into Yale. I mean, you could hardly get into Yale. What?
You know, something that's really interesting in the show is that Cory doesn't say a lot of really horrible things to the people in his life, to the people that he claims to really care about. He's deeply selfish and self-centered and egotistical, and sometimes he'll say things and do things that the audience has a really negative reaction to. So back in the days, in prehistoric times where people would call each other on cell phones and actually go outside and make friends and talk to people, TV shows used to also be filmed in front of a live studio audience. They would make the shows so that you could actually hear people laughing at their jokes and real people reacting to situations. So those oohs and ahs and clapping and laughing are supposed to sound authentic. When Cory said that really horrible thing to his girlfriend, the audience had a very viscerally negative reaction. Like they were really not fucking with it. And something that I really think is funny is that I don't think the writers anticipated the audience having that kind of reaction, because there's this really awkward thing in the episode where normally when Cory is being an asshole and he does something really bad, they have this learning moment where he comes to the realization that he is a shitty person and does a half-assed apology to whoever he's hurt or mistreated or the person that he's infringed on their boundaries. But he never apologizes to Topanga in the episode. Like, there's never a sit down, there's never an apology. Topanga also never really gets upset at the fact that he completely blows off the fact that she's been accepted to Yale. It's just never addressed. And it makes me wonder if maybe the writers were not expecting the audience to react negatively to this moment, and so they didn't write in a redemption moment for Cory in the episode. He says that horrible thing, it's terrible, and he's never held accountable for it, and he never has to apologize. And I think that's really weird. Like, they've made a character who's so bad and who's so unlikable that they themselves cannot even recognize anymore when he's being a bad person. And then there's the poetry episode. Cory has this incessant need to have full control over every situation, including his own friends' lives. So in this episode, he finds out that Sean has been writing poetry, but is too scared to share it with the rest of the world. So he takes it upon himself to not only sign Sean up for a poetry reading against his wishes, but also push him to read his poetry in front of everyone.
Listen, come on, don't just blow this off.
Or enough with the pressure.
No, I know you. If I don't pressure you, you're gonna flake.
Hey, Cory, Sean doesn't want to read his poems, then I think we should respect that.
No, because Sean never wants to do what's best for him.
Come on, Cory, leave him alone.
Sean, just come with us, okay? If you want to read poems, you will, and if you don't, you won't.
Will it shut you up?
Will you come? Fine.
Despite the fact that Sean has consistently said it makes him uncomfortable, but Cory doesn't care, because in Cory's mind, he knows what's best for Sean, and he should be able to determine how Sean lives his life. Eventually, Sean decides that he's too overwhelmed and absolutely does not want to read the poetry, so Cory then decides to take Sean's poetry and read it himself. It's just so absolutely crazy how at every step Cory just completely ignores Sean's boundaries, all because he's convinced that he actually knows what's best for him.
You think you are?
Well, that's a silly question, Sean. I'm your best
No,
friend.
no. No jokes, no backpedaling. Look into my eyes, Cory. I am dead serious. We have a problem here.
All right, Sean, I'm sorry.
No.
Okay,
That's not what I want to hear. Not this time. I want to hear that you were wrong. That I asked you to back off and you wouldn't take no for an answer. That you totally disregarded my feelings. You went way too far this time, Cory.
All right. I did that. Okay, but I just want to say...
There better not be a but.
I did this for your own good.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Sean understandably gets very angry at Cory for reading his poetry, despite him telling him not to. And even in the moment where Sean is explaining to Cory why he doesn't want his poetry read and how much what he did hurt him, Cory is so self-centered and so wrapped up in himself that he's convinced that it was not only the right thing to do, which is to go against Sean's direct wishes.
Sorry I read Sean's poem. And no, I'm not sorry I read Sean's poem. I mean, don't you see that he would love to tell you how he feels?
Then he should tell me.
But he's also somehow convinced that the poem was about him.
That poem you just read, do you even know who that was about?
Me.
It's about Angela. I wrote that for her.
And it just really speaks to the fact that Cory only cares about himself and how the people in his life play a specific role. It's almost like he's aware that this is a TV show and he's the main character. Everything has to revolve around him. He does not care about their dreams, their aspirations, their wants. It's not as important as him fulfilling this kind of fantasy in his head about what his life is supposed to look like and how the people in his life are supposed to show up. So even in situations where he's like objectively wrong, he downplays it and says it's not a big deal and Sean is simply overreacting, which is just crazy. Cory is also a really terrible son. In this episode, it's Valentine's Day, and Cory, like he usually does, has a very specific idea of how this day is supposed to go, and he wants everybody in his life to play their role, exactly how he imagined it in his head, and to not disrupt the vision that he has for how he wants things to be.
With the new baby coming, she's feeling very excluded.
You know who else feels excluded? Me.
This is your sister.
That's why I never asked her out on a date. Now, does our first engaged Valentine's Day mean nothing to you at all?
Of course it means something to me, Cory, but sometimes things come up that are more important than you and me.
Oh, what's more important than you and me, except me?
So he wants to spend the whole day with Topanga because it's their first Valentine's Day together before they get married. But Cory's mom, who's pregnant at this point, has been feeling very left out and neglected. So Topanga, being the sweetheart that she is, decides that it might be a good idea to throw Cory's mom a baby shower to make her feel better about her body and about the fact that there's a baby on the way. And Cory absolutely hates this idea. He absolutely hates the idea of helping out his mom feel better because he wants to spend the entire day with Topanga alone. And he can't understand why Topanga would ever want to waste her time trying to make his mom feel better when she could spend the time just being with him.
That's discriminatory and I won't stand for it.
Actually, it sounds very nice.
What's wrong with you, huh? Why do you always have to help everybody? You're sick. You're a sick little girl.
She said nice. Baby shower it is. We're going bowling.
And it's like, that's your mom. And she's pregnant with your brother. Like, how is it this big of a deal? So Cory is really upset and completely ruins the baby shower. He hires a male stripper and it really upsets his mom, and he just never apologizes. He just doesn't seem to care.
You know what? The party's over. Thanks. I need to go by myself.
Bye-bye. Bye. Thank you for coming. Well, that was one great party, huh? All right, now go get on your Valentine's Day clothes.
Cory, I'm not going out.
What do you mean you're not going out?
All I wanted to do was something nice for your family.
Why?
Because they're gonna be my family too someday.
Right, they're gonna be your family too someday. You know why?
Why?
Me.
What?
Me. You wanna get to them, you go through me. We had plans.
It's all about him, and he doesn't understand why Topanga would care so much about helping his mom. Eventually, his mom goes into labor and ends up at the hospital. And even then, while his mom is in labor, he's still complaining and droning on about how Topanga wouldn't give him the Valentine's Day he wanted and wouldn't spend the day with him and wouldn't fulfill the fantasy that he had in his head.
Cory, what's wrong?
Nothing. It's just, I mean, can we at least go get a cup of coffee together or something?
Cory, you're about ready to have a new baby brother or sister, and all you can think about is us?
Yeah. Ay.
Cory, you transparent moron. If you sigh one more time, I'm gonna give you something to sigh about.
Not for 1 minute. On this nationally recognized day of love, did I not think about you and want to be with you?
Cory, we are here for a very important reason. Believe it or not, but there are other things in this world more important than us.
I don't believe it, because that's why we're getting married, because there is nothing more important than us.
Because she went into labor prematurely, the baby had some complications when he was born, and they're not sure if the baby would even survive. And then Cory, the asshole that he is, is upset at Topanga because he wants her to make everything go away and make everything feel better by pretending like there isn't even a problem.
It's already happened.
No, I want you to make everything better.
How do I do that?
Just be here with me.
I'm sitting right next to you.
I know, but I don't feel like you are. Now I want us to be Cory and Topanga again, because then everything is okay. Here.
How does holding your hand make everything okay?
I just want us to be the way we used to be.
At no point is Cory concerned about the well-being of his mom. At no point is he outwardly concerned about the well-being of his baby brother. It's just, I feel bad and I want you to make me not feel bad in this moment. And Topanga reasonably is like, well, I can't control that. Like, I can't guarantee that everything is going to be okay. This is kind of a serious situation. Like, your brother might not be okay. And Cory is upset at Topanga for being pragmatic about the situation.
Cory, look around you. Do you recognize where you are?
Take my hand.
We're in the hospital. This is real. The reality is that your little brother is back there fighting for his life.
No. Reality is this hand.
I don't like it when you use us to hide from the rest of life, Cory.
I don't like it that you're not Topanga anymore.
What?
And the thing that really bothers me about this episode particularly is that they painted the idea that Topanga pushing back against Cory for wanting to use their relationship as some kind of scapegoat for dealing with his feelings as a bad thing. Like in this episode, she's squarely in the wrong for not thinking it's okay for Cory to prioritize their relationship, even in a moment where his mom has literally just had her guts opened up and his baby brother is in intensive care unit.
I want you to make everything better, Topanga.
We can't have that relationship anymore.
Why?
I'm not like that anymore.
Why not?
I don't know how to be like that anymore. Cory, this is bad. There isn't anyone who can make it better.
Have another Matthews to teach.
Yeah, maybe I'll have a kid like me to sit next to.
Well, he won't have to.
Why not?
You'll still be there.
Aren't you going to say anything to them?
Yes, I am. Boys, I hope you're right. With all my heart, I hope you're right.
Like in this episode, Topanga is being the unreasonable one. At least that's the way it's presented, for thinking it's inappropriate for Cory to want to still talk about their relationship and still focus on their relationship despite just being told that his baby brother might pass away. She's expressing that there are things that are more important than their relationship, but he doesn't believe that's true. And it's just never addressed. He never apologizes to Topanga. He never apologizes to his mom for ruining her baby shower. It's so weird because even in this episode, Cory's father calls out the fact that he's being unreasonably selfish, and he's never had to come to terms with that.
Your mother needed this.
I needed to be with Topanga on Valentine's Day. I needed to make up for last year.
You're being incredibly selfish.
I'm being selfish because I wanted to spend the one day you're supposed to spend with your girlfriend with my girlfriend. Yeah, I'm a bad man, huh?
Or you spend every day with her.
What are you saying?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
He's never had to apologize about that. It's so weird because the show oftentimes has moments like that where they make Cory an extremely unlikable person. He's just incredibly selfish and incredibly self-centered. He doesn't care about anyone but himself. And there's people in the show that call it out, but there's never like a revelation of how bad he's acting or how fucked up what he did was. It's always just presented as just Cory being Cory. Cory is a terrible brother. So in one episode, Cory has been asked to clean out the garage, but he was supposed to do it with his brother because the things in the garage belong to both of them. But he decides to do it with Topanga and Sean instead. And Eric is understandably very disappointed because he was supposed to do it with Cory.
Understand this. You decided on your own to go through our stuff involving your wife and your best friend, who incidentally has a brother of his own to do this kind of stuff with, but you didn't call me.
Eric, it's not a big deal.
Well, maybe we should go. No. You guys stay. He probably doesn't get a chance to see you a whole lot anyway.
Eric, come on, don't be like this, okay? Stay and
By the way, I forgot to tell you, Dad called last night, and he wanted me and you to look for Grandpa's toolbox after calling you calling me about us cleaning out the garage together. We were supposed to do this together.
Eric's basically saying these things are mine as much as they are yours, and our dad said that we should do this together. Why would you not want to do it with me? And instead of just being like, oh, I apologize. Sorry if I hurt your feelings. I was not intentionally trying to hurt your feelings. Let me make it up to you. Maybe we can clean out the rest of the garage together. He downplays the reason why his brother is upset and basically says that his brother is being angry at him for no reason. And basically that's the whole episode of like his brother constantly trying to convey to Cory that he really hurt his feelings by constantly leaving him out, and that he would want them to have a better relationship, and that just because he's now married and he has his best friend doesn't mean that they can't still be friends even though they're brothers. And Cory just doesn't get it. He spends the entire episode telling his brother that it was no big deal and that he shouldn't be upset.
Come on, this is stupid, all right? It's no big deal. You know, we'll go home, forget this ever happened, we'll clean out the garage and be done with it.
Okay. You know what? While we're at it, why don't we just move all that crap to the end of the driveway and sell it?
And again, a similar thing happens in this episode where Cory just never really is held accountable. There's never a huge reconciliation. In this episode, Cory and his brother never reconcile because of changed behavior. They're kind of just like, he's my brother, and Eric just kind of decides to get over it. Cory is so rarely having to be held accountable for the way he mistreats the people in his life, and anytime he's called out for doing something wrong, his instinct is to downplay the significance of whatever he did and how he hurt the people in his life, and make it seem like they're overreacting or they're being mean to him by calling out his bad behavior. He's a terrible brother, a terrible friend, a terrible son, and just a terrible human being. And then he would of course grow up to be a terrible father and a terrible teacher. When we get into Girl Meets World, Cory steps into the Mr. Feeney shtick, where he is now the teacher and the one passing down life lessons. And it's like, no, do not let this man near your kids. This man should not be teaching life lessons to children. It really got to a point in Girl Meets World where I was like, it's actually dangerous for Cory to be teaching these children things. I want to say illegal, but we'll get to that later. You know, Girl Meets World has always been to me a very bad show. It's not good. I already didn't really love Boy Meets World as a show. Boy Meets World was fine, like they had their good moments, but overall the tone I felt was very cringy. I didn't really respond well to the whole sanctimonious or self-righteous way that they would try to pass down life lessons. I just didn't really like it. And Girl Meets World is a much worse version of Boy Meets World. Like, it was the most difficult time in my life having to sit down and watch the show, but it's like I couldn't look away, you know? It's like when you see a car crash happening, like it's so bad, it's so disturbing, and you're a little bit scared that you can't help but keep watching. So Cory in Girl Meets World is as every bit egotistical and controlling as he was in Boy Meets World. In this new dynamic with his daughter, he's now fallen into the overbearing stereotypical dad role. And I've always really hated that dynamic of a father being especially overbearing and overprotective of his daughter, not wanting her to date or live her life. And that's exactly the role that Cory has fallen into in the show. He's so hard on Riley and makes it difficult for her to have any real agency over her life. Because again, he has this idea of how everyone's life is supposed to look.
Riley wants to go to the school dance on dun 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 Cyclone Night.
Oh, wow. It's the same night? I understand. I understand completely. I'm sorry you'll have to miss the dance.
Try again.
I'm sorry you'll have to miss the dance. Nope, same thing.
He does mellow out as the show goes on, but man, those first couple of seasons were rough. And because he stepped into the Mr. Feeney role as a history teacher who also passes down life lessons, he sometimes tries to teach his students things that just never really make sense or pan out. So I've already kind of talked about some of the worst things that I think Cory has done in Girl Meets World, but I can quickly go over them here. So in one episode, Cory tries to tackle the concept of religion and religious tolerance, but it actually ended up being a lot more about religious intolerance. In the episode, Maya finds money on the floor and decides to keep it, but she's condemned by Riley as being a bad person because God would never condone such behavior.
How could you live knowing that that belongs to somebody else?
Everything I own belonged to somebody else. Riley, it's a 5-ski, not even a 1-ski. Anybody can find a 1-ski.
Put it back.
This is my only source of income.
Read what it says, Maya. In God we trust.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
So in the episode, Riley is depicted as being a believer of Christ, and Maya and Farkle are depicted as being atheistic or agnostic. And the whole episode basically revolves around trying to convince the non-believers, Maya and Farkle, that God is real. The really frustrating thing is that it tries to present itself as being simply about people's rights to believe whatever they want, but the core message of the episode is very clearly that believing in God is the good thing to do and not believing in God is evil.
Well, I think everyone gets hurt.
See, I just don't get how those things are possible. I mean, do you really believe he hears everything you say?
Do you like computers?
I do.
Can I find out everywhere you've been with just one click?
Yeah.
God can't do that?
So Cory decides to give the class an assignment on belief, and he decides to pair them up to do research on Joan of Arc and Thomas Jefferson. And it's supposed to help them learn why believing in something is good. They have this whole sequence where basically everybody, including Cory, who is an adult man, dogpiles on Farkle for not believing in God.
And what's in the apartment buildings?
I can't see that.
People, families, mothers, fathers, kids.
And beyond that?
The sky, the stars, the whole universe.
All of it. Every person, every child, everything out there. Everything we see and we don't see. All these shining elements of a force that bond us together. I like to think of that as a part of God refracted. Aspects of God that I can see.
They spend the time desperately trying to convince him that God is real and that he should believe in something, but it just comes across as indoctrination, which is why I say I do think it's borderline illegal for Cory to be teaching these children, because he's indoctrinating them. He's forcing them to believe in his religion. So Cory goes on a whole tirade about why he believes God is real, and it's presented this way of not only trying to convince Farkle and Maya to believe in God, but by extension, the audience, that they need to believe in God, and not just an amorphous God of any religion, but the God. He's trying to convince them to be Christian. I feel like this was a good opportunity for them to have some kind of balanced discussion about belief and religious tolerance, but instead it was just an indoctrination episode. And it's absolutely crazy to me that the secular company Disney allowed this episode to air. Disney has never really shied away from talking about Christianity or talking about God, but never in such an overtly indoctrinating kind of way, where it's very clearly trying to convince people to believe in God. And then there was the communism episode. For the purposes of this episode, where they're learning about communism, Cory is a red-blooded American, and he believes in capitalism. His argument is that communism strips people of their identity and makes them unable to think for themselves or be individuals.
Without incentive, there's no motivation. Without motivation, there's no advancement. In a truly free society, we share the best parts of ourselves without cheating, because we get to learn who we are individually.
And of course, there's never a discussion about how hyper-individualism and capitalism breeds inequality. There's never a conversation about wealth disparity, poverty, racism, class. It's just living in a free market is great, capitalism is amazing, and communism is the worst thing ever.
Look at you. You're all the same. You're average. You're common.
Communism. This is why it fell. People didn't want to all be the same.
I just know Karl Marx is rolling in his grave. So that's it. Those are my thoughts on Cory. I just think he's a really bad person. I think he's done some really questionable things. And it's baffling to me that he is the protagonist of the story and is never truly held accountable for the way he almost ruins people's lives.